Hey everybody, welcome to MD Power Hour, starring Giles, Tiger Thomas, and me, Ron Harris, your online editor. This is a very, very special show, maybe our most important show of the entire year. This is our 2023 Mr. Olympia preview. Before we get started, very happy to show you guys a brand new issue of Muscular Development. It is our Olympia special. I think you might recognize this guy on the cover, a guy named Ronnie Coleman. He won a few times. Huge article in there called King Ronnie, the greatest of all time, written by a guy who actually worked for Ronnie for a number of years over in the UK. Giles, that was you we're talking about. And I also got my preview of the Olympia in here somewhere. We got a Derek Luntz. We got an Olympia arm issue, training arm. It's all kinds of cool stuff, guys. I know there's a preview in there somewhere. But anyway, I'm not going to flip through the whole magazine because we're doing our preview. So, Giles, before we get started on that, there was a new I wouldn't say mandate, a new qualification where they just changed it from top 5 at the Olympia will qualify automatically for next year to top 3. That was made announcement on Instagram a couple days ago. Doesn't change a whole lot though, does it? It's 2 guys.
Not really, but they should have done it years ago.
Yeah.
I really do think, because I think you think about it, those top 5 guys. I mean, there's two guys now in every single class, and ladies, that big names that would have potentially skipped the whole year that won't be doing those shows. So really what they're doing is they're trying to not keep the numbers down, but they're trying to help the promoters get those bigger names. Because those guys in the top 5, top 6 in all the categories, male and female, they are the big names. They are the top of the top. You know, and having someone like, I mean, look what like Texas having Hunter and Andrew Jackson. Look what that did for the show. It was like all eyes were on that show. Nathan and Regan, even though they're not like top 5 Olympia guys, Nathan and Regan, those top guys in the Italy show, the Spain show, you know, it draws people, it gets people talking, it gets other competitors, it gets people watching the live stream, and it really, really helps the promoters. So I think this is an absolutely fantastic thing.
Yeah. So if this had been in place a year ago, it wouldn't have changed a damn thing, because 4th and 5th place last year were Brandon Curry and Big Ramy, who are Mr. Olympia champions, and they're qualified for life. So it wouldn't have changed. They wouldn't have had to do any more shows. Ramy did the Arnold. Nick Walker did the Arnold, and he won. I'm sorry, 2nd place. Sorry, Milos. He did win at one point before, though. 2021.
Samson's crying now.
Milos is about to kill me. But let's get into this year's show. Last year, we have to start with the biggest rivalry we saw last year, and I see it coming down again, possibly someone interrupting it, but Hadi versus Derek Lunsford. Last year at the judging, they were only a couple points apart. Hadi got a couple more points past him at the finals and ended up winning the title, but I don't think too many people would have been horribly upset had Derek Lunsford won the Mr. Olympia last year. And we've been watching the updates. We've been on our little MD team chat. We keep posting back shots of Derek mostly because that back is crazy. First of all, who's got a better back than that right now? Can you think of anybody? Because I know you can remember things better than me.
Well, Hadi's comparable in the rear lat spread.
Okay.
But I think Derek takes him in the rear double bicep last year, because I feel like even though both guys, Derek and Hadi, weren't both in their best ever conditioning, let's be honest, and they could have been a little bit drier and harder. I mean, Hadi, for me, when he first came out at the Olympia last year, we sat next to Steve. And when he turned to the back, Steve said, Hadi's off. But then as you saw, as the show went on, Hadi just got better and better and better and tighter. To be honest, that's one of the most shocking things I've seen how quickly he tightened up. But wow. I think rear double bicep, I think that's Derek's pose all day long.
Yeah. So, I mean, but let's figure this out. So Hadi beat him last year, to me, basically from the front in this whole area, chest, shoulders, arms, just had a real hard, dense, grainy, strided look. To me, in some of the shots, Derek, especially like the front relaxed, to me, it's kind of when he's just standing there and he's not posing, can kind of look smooth. Obviously, he's very, very low body fat, but that's where he was lacking. And again, here we go, Instagram versus stage. I see a huge improvement in that on the Instagram pictures and even in some of the videos. I don't know if it's going to translate to the stage. To me, Derek, obviously the back shots are lights out. I don't think anybody's even touching Derek Lunsford from the back this year, not even Hadi. Sorry,
wow.
Hadi.
Wow, okay.
His back is just ridiculous. But I don't know, Hadi's still got a lot of things in terms of muscle maturity that I don't think Derek, you can't get that in 1 year.
I think Hadi's only. I said this for back in the famous, much repeated 2017 San Marino. There's only one weak pose I felt that Hadi ever has in terms of compulsories, and that's the riddable bicep. That's the one where I feel like he can get taken out. He can be beaten by someone like Derek Lunsford, but that's just one pose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Okay. So that's what we're talking about, Hadi versus Derek. But, you know, we have a couple other guys here. Who do you think has the best chance of upsetting that predicted rivalry where it could be down to Hadi and so-and-so or Derek and so-and-so? Is it Samson Dauda? Is it Nick Walker? Let's talk about Samson first. He is the reigning Arnold Classic champ. 22-inch waist at 350 pounds. It's pretty amazing. It's a hell of a physique. And, you know, like you just had Milos on again on MD Global Muscle. And you and Milos have talked several times. You had a very heated discussion at one point, spirited discussion, about how much conditioning you need to balance out someone who's more conditioned, but he has better aesthetics. There's very, very few people that can even rival Samson with that blend of size and aesthetics. There's only a couple people in this world. Is Samson's condition? Do we need to see a better conditioning from Samson than we've ever seen before for him to possibly win this Olympia? Like people are saying, it is a long shot. He's a dark horse, but we've both seen stranger things happen.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, yes, his conditioning was better than it was at the Olympia at the Arnold Classic. It was better at the Arnold Classic, but he's going to have to. I mean, I really, really pushed Milos on this in Global Muscle. Go check it out, guys, if you haven't seen it yet. I really pushed Milos, and I said, because he was. I said, everyone's been battering Milos with messages saying, bring him in dry, bring him in dry, bring him in dry. Now the thing is, I bet Milos is having sleepless nights trying to figure out how to keep Samson full, but also bring him in drier than he's ever been before. Because the thing is, as I said in last episode of Power Hour, you tell me who at the Olympia last year in the top 15 actually brought their 100% best conditioning. Tell me.
Oh boy.
Can I tell you?
You can tell me because I'm looking at the list and no one really jumps out at me.
There's only two that popped into my head. That's Nick Walker, even though I'm a Nick Walker hater apparently, and Charles Griffin. That's the only two guys in the top 15 that brought their best condition. So I actually wrote about it in my column next issue, MD Global Muscle Buzz in MD. And I said again, I've written about this before, and I said, I know this is the same subject. I said, but is conditioning really a thing anymore? But, you got Samson winning the Arnold Classic, beating Nick Walker and Andrew Jack in arguably less better condition.
Yeah.
The top two, Derek Lunsford and Hadi last year, they weren't in their best condition. Hadi, Milos actually pointed out, and he said, Giles, he says, Hadi, even though I agreed with him winning the Olympia last year, that was the worst condition he's been in the four Olympias he's done. And wow. I was like, holy shit, you're right. You're right. This was the poorest conditions, but the thing is now, obviously the whole dryness. Why do you think that is? Why do you think? Is it just because the guys aren't? I mean, there's so many of the guys in the top 10. Rami, Hadi, Derek, all these other guys like Andrew Jack weren't bringing their best conditioning. Do you think they're just basically judging on what's in front of them? Because, if the guys aren't bringing condition, then they're just going to have to place who they feel. You know what I mean? Whereas in the 90s, when Dorian or Ronnie turned up and they were, absolutely dry, shredded, it was like, okay, they're first and everybody else is second. But, is conditioning really, really becoming a factor in the Pro League anymore? Because from what I can see, I think they're bringing in other factors, things like symmetry, flow, something that really, really benefits Samson. So, and even I think, I don't know, even things like maybe presentation and stage presence, I think even those things are actually coming into play now. I mean, because, I think like Nick Walker, he's got a great stage presence. I'm not as, normally I can pick out when I'm at a show, I can pick out who I've got who, because I can tell by their conditioning and, how they look top to toe when they start hitting the poses. But now I think it's changing.
Well, I mean, conditioning was always meant to be one of the attributes they were looking for. It wasn't if it was going to be purely on conditioning, Andres Munzer would have won a few Olympias. Hamdullah Aykutlu would have been top 3 a few times.
Yeah.
This is a discussion we've had with Milos that you've had and even I've had, is if somebody has the best blend, the best total package of size, shape, symmetry versus someone who's got a weird structure. I mean, all right, Nick Walker fans, let him kill me now. But Arnold Classic, perfect example. Nick Walker was in way better condition than Samson. Nobody's going to argue that point. But what did Samson have that Nick didn't have? He had a prettier structure. He's just got a beautiful shape to him. You know, we're not judging silhouettes, but just being a little leaner than somebody and having some freaky body parts. And Nick Walker's got an incredible physique. He was third place at the Olympia last year. I hope no one's getting this twisted, saying I'm coming down and saying he's awful. He's not awful at all. It came down to a choice the judges had. And I don't think it was an easy choice for them between Samson and Nick Walker at the Olympia. And they're going to have to make some of those same decisions this time, as they always do. Do you go with the guy who's got a little less going for him in terms of shape and structure, but he's just shredded? Or someone like Samson who's, let's give him like 91% conditioning of what he's probably ultimately capable of, but he blows him away in terms of that structure and the shape. I mean, it's. I don't think conditioning is going away, but I think they're realizing it's just part of the equation.
But say, this is what Milos kind of, I think, was hinting at in Global Muscle. He said, like, you know, I don't want to bring him in so dry that he loses his pop. Because imagine if he brings him in dry and things are he starts posing and things just aren't happening like they normally would. It'd be like, I mean, he could slip. He could slip further down. Do you know what I mean? This isn't a foregone conclusion that he's going to come in and win this or be top three, even though everyone's kind of thinking he is based upon how he's done at the Arnold Classic, how much he's improved, you know? And I said to him, I asked Milos, I said, look, Milos, I've heard a rumor that you're going to be bringing him in around about 290, so you're going to bring him nice and shredded, you know, rather than, because you think about it, if with the Prague and then the Arnold Classic where he cut fourth, it was 270, 280. Then he went to the Olympia, then it was like 296. He said, he corrected me because I said it was 294. And he said, no, Samson was 296 at the Olympia. And I was like, wow. Boy. And then I think he was 297.4 at the Arnold Classic or something. Wow. You know, you also, I think maybe fans are maybe just expecting him to just keep becoming bigger. But, you know, our history's proven that's not always the best way to progress somebody's physique. So I said, I've heard a rumor, Milos said, that you're going to bring him down to 290. He says, Giles, that's not true because we're not looking at the scale. I don't know what he weighs. I'm just purely going. He said, he just did his check-in because I think Milos does the check-ins at midnight, and that's 8 a.m. for because obviously the PST time, Vegas time. So he said Samson does his check-ins at 8 a.m. every morning, and then Milos checks him live on the video call at midnight, you know. And he said, and he was kind of like smirking. He was like, yeah, you could see he was quite happy with how Samson's looking. But I just hope, I don't know. To be honest, I do see this as a four-man race. I do see, and I changed my mind literally every single day. Before I thought, okay, this is a foregone conclusion. It's Derek or Hadi. And I've been leaning more towards Hadi, actually. And then the next week, I'm leaning towards Derek. But there's Samson and Brandon Curry are the two guys that I think are four potential guys that could win this. Wow. And I'd be happy for any of them. I really would.
Of course. Yeah, there are no foregone conclusions, guys, at the Mr. Olympia. Yeah. I never would have expected Rami to drop from winning the Olympia 2021 to fifth place.
Yeah.
If something, you show up and things are not right, your physique's not looking its best, you're going down because there's 5, 6, 8 guys that are awesome and they're on their game right behind you. They're going to take your place. They're going to place ahead of you.
What's the lowest you could see Hadi then?
Third.
Yeah, I don't think he'll place lower than third.
No, I mean that's
maybe third, fourth, maybe. I mean, I was speaking to someone yesterday, and he was saying, he says realistically, he said off the record, he says I think Samson could be third to fifth.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, so I mean, but like I said, that's possible. I mean, you know, like you said, Rami going, would you, you know, first to fifth? You know, I know he didn't look as good as he, you know, it's not like he was bringing the same sort of Rami. I mean, this was a beaten up Rami, you know, we saw last year, and if that had been his first Olympia, he wouldn't have been top 6.
Yeah, wow. I mean, exactly. I mean, he was 6th place last year. Anything better, anything higher than that is an improvement. You know, we see guys climb up the ladder like Clarita did at the Olympia every year until he became the champion of 212. It happens. But I think we need to talk about Nick Walker before we move on, because this is a guy who was 3rd place last year. He was a very, very close runner-up to Samson. And, you know, a lot of people thought could have gone his way if the judges had seen things differently. But Nick Walker, I saw that, I guess people were saying he was upset that people didn't have him as a favorite to win and no one was really hyping him up, predicting him, which, you know, guys like us and all these other media outlets, all our predictions and stuff, it doesn't mean a damn thing on the day of the show. It doesn't matter what we say or think. It's all coming down to the judges and what they see and what they believe to be a fair placement when they look at these guys come out. So Don't worry about it. Don't worry
Come
about
on, then. Get to it.
All right. So he's been working hard all year. At the Arnold Classic, he brought a different look. It was a little more streamlined. He went for conditioning. He brought amazing conditioning. His legs, he's put up some comparisons. His legs have improved quite a bit since last year. You know, I'm gonna say they've put 1.2 inches on each thigh. It's probably about right. You know, are we forgetting about this guy, but the fact that nobody seems to be, other than his really loyal group of fans, nobody seems to be picking him for a potential winner. I know, you know, we've had our run-ins on the show talking about Nick where you've gotten blasted, but could Nick I'm giving you a chance to get yourself out, dig yourself out of the hole. Here's your shovels, dig yourself out. Could he win the Olympia, Giles?
No.
Why not?
I'm going to dig myself in deeper here.
Oh,
it's funny because I was speaking to Kamal back on Global after he won the Masters Olympia, and he was talking about Nick, and he says, Nick, he's really brought his chest up. He said he's seen the latest updates, and I was like, well, I've seen updates. And I said, it still looks kind of like dominated by his shoulders and arms, and I spoke to Milos, like I said, on Sunday, and I said, look, you know, I do see Nick's updates. I don't really see any major changes, but you know, you never know until they actually hit the stage. You know, sometimes you can't really tell. And I said, and Milos said, no, 100%, absolutely. I've seen Nick in the flesh in Vegas, and he has brought his chest and his legs up. He says, without a doubt, and that kind of shut me up. It kind of shut me up. But I've got to be perfectly honest. I don't have him top 5.
Oh wow, okay.
I've got him 6th.
Wow.
I think he's amazing. I think he's amazing. I think he's incredible. I think I love, like I said, I've accredited the fact that he was probably he was the only guy in the top 6 last year that brought really, really good conditioning. I thought his presentation has really improved in the last couple of years. He's the king of mandatories. I think everyone needs to learn from every single other pro needs to learn about how that guy hits the mandatories. Like from when he did the New York Pro, and then he won the Arnold Classic, and you know, and the Olympia that year. He's the first in the pose. He doesn't do 10 variations, which is fantastic. Like he always brings it. He is a freak. He's not my cup of tea in terms of physique, but I completely acknowledge that you know, that he's awesome. But I just don't have him in top 5 this year. I have him 6th.
Fair enough. I mean,
might be right, might be completely wrong, and I'll take my hat off to him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him beating Derek or Hadi, but I could see him getting 3rd again, which, you know, it's not really a failure. 3rd place at the Olympia 2 years in a row. Of course, you know, I've seen years in the past where guys won that I never thought they were going to win the Olympia. Sean Roden, I thought he was a fantastic bodybuilder. I didn't see him as like an Olympia champ, but then he won. I go, oh, yeah, guess I was wrong. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's a freakish physique. It's going to come down to who brings it on that day and who peaks, who doesn't.
Ron,
yeah.
I've got a feeling that things like conditioning are less of an issue this year, and I've got a feeling that with the way that some of these results have been going, with, you know, like Samson winning the Arnold Classic, I think they're going a lot for aesthetics. Aesthetics. I think they really are. I think I've seen a bit of a trend in some of the pro shows we've seen this year, and some of the shapely, more symmetrical guys seem to be getting the nod. So that's just my observations from what, like I said, we review every single show, and I've just got a feeling, you know, I've got a feeling they would love either Samson or Derek to be Mr. Olympia for obvious reasons. You know, the fact that they promote the sport so well and they're out and about. I mean, Samson and Derek really are they're like the poster boys for doing every single thing right. You know, if you think about all the boxes to tick with all the social media, the way they promote the sport, the way they do guest posings, the way they travel, the way they interact with the fans, you know, the way that they sort of, you know, they're just doing everything right. You know exactly what I mean, you know? So I've just got a feeling they would love those 2 guys to win. But like I said, you know, I said to Zach on Global the other week, because he said, I said, well, how do you account? He says, no, they want the marketable guys to win. I said, well, how do you account for Hadi then?
Yeah.
And he said, well, Hadi's got loads of fans in the Middle East. I said, yeah, but, you know, really, they would probably want the American guy to win, like Derek or Nick. Do you know what I mean? Last year, but yet it went to the best man on the day. So like I said, that's kind of 2 reasons, kind of 2 things that makes it really extra exciting for this year.
Yeah. So I agree with that 100%. I don't think it factors in anymore. I think in many years past, definitely the Olympia decisions were heavily influenced by things like marketability, maybe even supplement company contracts. It was a different time. judging is a lot more fair and impartial. Because if there was any politics, Heidi Chupon would not be Mr. Olympia. There's no way.
But then again, how do you account for Dorian Yates winning 6 Olympias? Because there was a guy that didn't live in America. It kind of you didn't really see or hear from him apart from a couple of guest posings, you know. I mean, yes, he had Peter McGough to build up this mystique, and they built this kind of story around him, which was kind of very accurate, and it was exactly how he was. Yeah. But I mean, really, surely they'd have loved Kevin Navrone or Sean Ray or these other guys, or Fax Wheeler to win the Olympia. So I still don't know. I still think that when it comes down to it, the best man does win on the day, pretty much. Apart from 2007, because Victor Martinez was robbed.
Well, as a Kevin Leveroni fan, you are remiss in not knowing this. I'm a little shocked because he's gone on record with me and on, I think on the podcast, the show with Dennis James, as saying he asked Joe Weider one time toward the end of his Olympia years, I think because he took second 4 times.
Yeah.
And after I think the second time he took runner up to Dorian, he asked Joe Weider. This is not me saying it. This is what Kevin said. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, why? What do I need to do to win? And according to Kevin, Joe Weider said, I can't have you win. I need Dorian to be our champion because that gives me the European market for all his supplements and equipment and all that. I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, and it's his show and it's his legacy. So, but that's what Kevin said, and there's you brought it up. You brought up Dorian and marketability, so I had to say it. But let's move on before people fixate on that.
I'm doing live stream with Kevin Navroni in Prague.
Oh, it's confirmed because last time we didn't want to say who it was.
Yeah, pretty much. They messaged me the other night, and there's a couple of other people I'll be rotating with, so I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. So let's talk about Brandon Curry because there are some people I see online saying he's finished. I've seen posts where people say he'll be lucky to make the top 10 this year.
Stop it.
He's got no legs. He's blah blah. They're done with it's the younger guys. I think they're all done with Brandon. But
41,
40. Yeah, but to them, to a 20-year-old, that's like a senior citizen. So,
Sean Roden, 43. Come on, guys. These guys aren't even hitting their peaks. Most of them till they're 40 nowadays.
We've seen the updates. His physique is not going downhill or backward. There's no muscle tears, no loose skin. So the sore point, upper body looks phenomenal. We just talked about shape and aesthetics. Beautiful, round, bubbly muscles. Great structure. How much better are his legs? Because that's the sore point everyone loves to harp on is his legs they don't match his upper body.
Last year, it wasn't his legs; it was his condition. Because if you remember, I was at Heathrow. Was it Heathrow? I was at I think it was Heathrow, Manchester. We're flying out. I think it was Heathrow. We flew down to Heathrow from Leeds, and then I bumped into Abdullah because he was on my flight because he flew in from Dubai, and then he was flying or Q8, whatever. He was flying out with us on our flight, and he said, "Giles, let me show you this. And he showed me this video of Brandon. And Brandon was like something like, he said he was something like 260 or something. I can't really remember, but it was like a big increase. And he showed me the video and I was like, my eyes popped out and stalked. I was like, holy shit. I said, when he dries out, I said, shit, he could reclaim his title this year. Then, of course, like last year, he came and his condition was, the videos he was posting a few weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks out, I put one in Global when me and Milos were talking about it. His condition there at 5 weeks out pretty much was better than what he brought to the stage last year.
Wow.
So can you imagine if he won his title back and then retired?
Whew, that'd be, I would cry, tears of joy.
Wouldn't that be cool? Because I know he got a lot of shit for winning in 2019, but don't forget he also won the Arnold Classic that year. And there's only 2 people that have done that: Ronnie Coleman in 2001, Dexter Jackson in 2008. The ones that won it twice, both the big shows in 1 year. Yeah. So could you just imagine if he did win? Like I said, his physique looks absolutely incredible to me. And Milos said actually, he said if Brandon had been in condition last year, he would have won the Olympia last year. And let's not forget the guy was first in 2019, then he dropped to second, then second, and obviously dropped down to fourth last year. And there was no separation in his legs. I'll be honest, the condition was pretty poor, and he still got fourth. He still got, like Milos said, but it's still fourth at the Olympia. He was like, he was really, go watch it. So Milos was on fire. I could tell as soon as he came on the screen, I was like, oh, we're in for a good one. I said, Derek, make sure you pay attention to this one. I said, this is going to be good. Hour and 15, full Olympia rundown. And he's a big fan, a big proponent of Brandon. So I think people are really, again, people are really underestimating Brandon's potential to not just, even just hold his position, but to move up and potentially even win it. So to say he's not going to be top 10, he's smoking crack.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like the crack. It's good stuff. So let's move on.
Very Moorish. Very Moorish.
Yeah. So we're talking about the new standards, the new types of physique that are doing well, and Andrew Jacked. He's a poster boy. Well, Samson and Andrew both, really. Tall guys with tiny waists, big, round, full muscle bellies. Andrew, I thought he looked a little better at the Arnold. Well, condition-wise, he was much better at the Arnold than he had been at the Olympia. He's been trying to bring up areas like the hamstrings, the glutes, the back, the whole posterior chain. How much improvement do you see, and do you think it's going to be enough for him to bump up maybe all the way to top 3, top 4?
Fifth.
You got him in 5th. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's moving up to 5th. I've had it all year, ever since Texas. Texas. I've got him as a solid 5th. I think. And the thing is, like when I interviewed him after he won Texas, and when he went back to California, he kind of put something into perspective for me. He said, I've only been a pro 1 year.
That's right.
Like from Texas to Texas was 1 year competing as a pro. I know he turned pro in the March 20, but that was only last year. I mean, he's such a big name. I can't believe that he's only been around as a pro just over a year since the Texas show last year when he made his pro debut and won that. So I think if you actually chart his progression, I mean, it's almost like Samson level of progression. I mean, he's just got better in terms of his physique, but in terms of his conditioning, his presentation. And I think because he's a little bit up there in terms of the age, I think he's really going for it. I think he's really going for it. And like I said, I've got him absolutely locked in for 5th place here. I think he'll be first call out, and I'm going to be interesting. I really want to see him next to Crizo and Nick.
All right, let's move on to Crizo. So Crizo, he had a long year last year. He had to first go and earn his pro status in the IFBB Pro League. Then he had to go on to win a show to qualify for the Olympia. Then the Olympia. So he was in prep about 8 months out of last year. Didn't show the best physique at the Olympia that I think he was capable of. He is so much fuller now, crisper looking. Obviously a lot of his pictures are him like leaning forward with these massive shoulders and arms. His arms are probably the best in the sport right now, if not top couple. But I see him definitely moving up. He wasn't in the top 10 last year, but I see a very, very different Olympia showing from Michael Krizonek this year. What say you?
7th.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got him locked for 7th. I've got it. Like I said, I don't know what. Sometimes these things just fall into line in my head. I don't even have to think about them. I just see what they do through the year, and my mind kind of sorts it out. It's by itself, and I just literally they just in a line. So I really, really was so happy how he looked at Spain. I mean, he really, really listened, because I was there in Prague, and when he messed up his tan, his conditioning, and his kind of waistline looked a bit weird, and he, it's not like he won that by a comfortable margin, and there wasn't a lot of big names in that show. So I was kind of, yes, he won, but I was just like, oh, it was a bit of a letdown, to be honest. And then he went to the Olympia, and it looked okay. Did 12th, and that's not disgraceful. No. And then, but then what he brought in Spain, he sorted the tan out, he sorted the presentation out. He still needs to work on his compulsories. He's still a little bit sloppy with the compulsories, but he had a nice posing routine. But it was just, if you remember, I did on Global. I think I tagged in MD, and I zoomed in on the arm when he does the leaning Dorian pose. Yeah. And Milos actually said he got enthusiastic. I'm glad he noticed this. And I thought he would. Was the level of, like he said, it was like Phil Heath level separation in his arms. Between the tricep and the brachialis and the bicep. And I zoomed right in and I screenshotted it and I put it on my Instagram, on MD Globe Muscle Instagram. And I love it when bodybuilders don't just think that it's about getting bigger and bigger and heavier, because especially a mass monster like him, he came in, probably came in quite a lot lighter, but my God, he leveled up in terms of professionalism and what it is to be a good pro bodybuilder. So for that reason, I see him, I mean, don't forget, first call out is typically usually the top 5 or 6 really at the Olympia, because we get to see them individually, and it's the best of the best judges there. But if you remember in 2017, Brandon Curry was first call out, and he was last place the year before, and he ended up in 8th place. I've seen that happen. I saw that with Rafael Brandeo in San Marino. He was first call out and he ended up in 8th place. So I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him out in the first call out as well, just to sort of give him a chance, So, but if not, he'll be top end of the second call out. And I think I love, me conditioning. I love the freaky guys. It's I mean, there's a big hole in our heart where Ruli Winklar's left us, from the sport, because we love the super freaks.
Yeah.
But I think he's really going to shine. And also Krizo is doing Prague as well. So they're probably going to mail his check to him before he even does it, because I don't see anyone beating him in Prague.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we have to move on to another guy who, oddly enough, does not seem to be getting a ton of hype or love. You'd think he would. Is Hunter Labrada? I mean, Hunter knocked it out of the park in Tampa. Goes to Texas, which was very brave of him because he did not need to go. He already had his Olympic qualification, but he wanted to go up against whoever showed up, which unfortunately for him was Andrew Jack with a great look. Took second place, and I think just the fact that he got beat by Andrew there, a lot of people immediately sort of wrote him off for the Olympia. It's like, well, Andrew's ahead of him, and we got all these other guys. I don't hear a lot of discussion, but I think I've been studying him because people say, the pec tears. The pec tears are very, very minor. They look just like almost. I've seen that formation on people without pec tears. It's just like a separation thing. I don't think it's enough because people love to harp on one thing to say this is why he won't place well. Hunter's got a crazy package overall, size, shape. Conditioning at these last couple of shows was better than I'd ever seen it. I definitely see him in top 10. And this guy's been as high as 4th. Would he drop down to 8th last year? Yeah. So it's kind of weird. I don't know which way.
No. Andrew Jack was 8th. He was 7th.
He was 7th. So, I mean, still very, very, very commendable placing. How do you see Hunter doing?
8th.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would have had Nathan in that spot if obviously, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But I've moved. I've actually had Hunter originally in 9th, but because of Nathan's issues now with the visa, I would I'd bump him up to 8th place. I think I really admired him as well for doing that at Tampa. Texas, going after knowing that Andrew Jack was in the show. Even though he'd beaten him at the Olympia the year before, after already qualifying, I really respected Hunter for doing that because I did think Andrew Jack was going to win that one because I do think Andrew Jack in condition is actually a superior physique, and I think Andrew Jack won that quite clearly. But I still am not 100% sold on Hunter's physique. But then again, I did feel a little bit of a turnaround when I saw him at the Olympia, and that was the first time I'd actually seen him in the flesh. I feel like in photos, you don't really get a feel for how big he is because he's actually taller than you think. He's actually, he's nearly my height, isn't he? Like 6 foot or something.
5'10".
Yeah, he's not far off. He looks like a 5'8", 5'9" guy. But when he walked on stage at the Olympia, I was like, hang on a minute. Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting this. And then he started posing, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it now. But still, I don't see him cracking top 6 this year. But I think he can still manage respectable 8th place.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very crowded top 6. There's, when we're saying somebody's not going to make top 6 in our predictions here, it could happen, but I mean, it's a very, very tough.
Yeah, of course it could. Of course it could. Anything can happen.
So we're not really going to talk too much about Nathan because as it stands now, I think it's going to take a miracle for him to get the proper visa, paper, or whatever he needs to get into the U.S. to compete. These things do not happen quickly. The bureaucracy, the red tape, the emergency of an athlete needing to compete is not the U.S. government's emergency. They're not that concerned. Put it that way. It's like, you can't go to your contest. Oh well. But yeah. So what do you want to say? Because I think Nathan was definitely going to be at someone in the, if not the first call out, he would have been the top of the second call out. One of those guys.
Well, originally I would have had him like 7th, 8th place, 7th to 9th. But I spoke to him the other day when he was in Florida a couple of days ago, and he messaged me, sent me a voice note, and he said, "Oh no, I've got a senator's reached out to me, and he's going to help me get the visa." He said he's seen my charges, my police charges, and he says they're nonsense. He says you can get a visa and you can get into America. Wow. So that was then. I spoke to Nathan about an hour ago, and I didn't really understand the messages because he normally sends voice notes, but he texted me, and it seemed a little bit. Not negative, but not as positive really. That he's actually going to be able to get in. So I don't know. I honestly, I'm completely confused by this. Yeah. I'm completely confused as to how he even got to Florida if he's got these these things against him. He said he had the right paperwork. I kind of need to get him on Global, really, maybe to sort of talk it through. But I have been messaging him, just trying to sort of just give him some encouragement and support, whatever, just to see. I said, I just basically, I'm saying, are you okay, mate? Are you okay? How's it going? And if you can't get to the Olympia, please, why don't you go do Romania or Prague? And I don't think he's keen on doing those either. I don't know, but he changes his mind all the time. And who knows what's going to happen in this next 2 weeks. But and I said, stay on your diet no matter what, mate. That's just because you need to give yourself options, because you might be able to get the Olympia. Because if you pig out now and then the visa comes through, you're gonna have to you're gonna blow it for the Olympia, and then maybe you'll change your mind if you can't get the Olympia. You might want to go and do one of the post-Olympia shows and get a qualification for next year. Yeah. But this whole visa thing, I'm completely confused by. I don't know what it is with because he had a criminal record in 2012, 2013, but he still managed to get to the Olympia in 16, 17, 18.
Right.
So, and I don't know whether these charges since are were they dropped. I'm not sure. I mean, are they even that's I don't know. They seemed a bit flimsy to me.
I mean, when people post things, I don't know if they're accurate. Someone said he had that minor drug offense. I think he had mailed some gear to somebody. I believe that's what happened. Someone that was a friend. It wasn't like a giant. It was like a personal use amount to help a buddy out.
Yeah.
And I guess they're saying, and I don't know if this is true. This is why we need Nathan to clear it up. That I guess they had to plead guilty to get a suspended sentence, which means no jail time, but it's on your record. So I don't know.
I went to America with someone. I won't say his name. I went to America a few years ago, and he'd done jail time for big sort of time, sort of gear dealing and stuff. And he went straight through. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether he just didn't lie, or whether he lied, or just didn't declare it, but he managed to get into America. So, but the thing is, I mean, things change all the time, don't they, with these laws and these different presidents and different administrations and stuff. So I'm completely in the dark here. I haven't even done any research on this because I just automatically assumed he wouldn't be able to get there. But no, he's been saying all along that he had the visa. He's been saying for like 2 years or whatever, he had the visa and he was getting there and all that. So I'm just really disappointed for him because I think he would have made a good top 10 competitor.
Yeah, we would need an immigration lawyer on the call with Nathan with all the paperwork to really sort this out. It's I'm very sure this is a complex issue. So let's move on. We're not here to talk about that. Let's move on to Regan Grimes, who finally qualified for the Olympia. I should say finally. He only had to do 2 shows to do it, but beat Nathan at that second showdown. This was the best Regan I've ever seen, for sure. I still want to see some improvements. His chest, I want to see a lot more chest on Regan Grimes, because somebody that big in the side poses with these massive shoulders and legs and everything, when the chest doesn't pop on the side chest, to me, that's a distraction. Want to see better arms, but boy, structurally, beautiful structure. He's about 260. He was in really good condition. I've never seen him like totally dried out, gnarly, grainy condition, but they did have a good amount of time between. Where did he win, in Italy? No, he won Spain, the Spain show. I think he had about six or 8 weeks between those two to sort that out and get leaner and tighter and drier, because I think that's his only chance. If he is not in spectacular condition, he's going to have a rough go at this Olympia. But if he is, how well could he do?
I think he's still a work in progress, but I love his back shots. I think his back shots are absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I
wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be blown away shocked if he made top 10. But I personally feel like he's going to be 11th to 15th. Do you know what I mean? Around about, say, 12th. I've got 11th, 12th in my head. I think he could do that. Because, like I said, he's got a lovely physique, but I still think he needs a little bit more time. But you know what? I saw that update that he posted. It was just the upper body. And then Milos reposted it. And I just thought, I'd be panicking if I looked like that at 6 weeks out. I would. I'd be shitting myself. And I just don't know whether... Because sometimes... You get these physiques like Justin Rodriguez. You see him 2 weeks out, and they're like watery as hell, and then they get on stage, and then it's just all sucked in. Because some guys are they're some naturally watery physiques, and they maybe have high sodium in their diet, and then they know exactly when to pull, they know exactly when to sort of manipulate the water, and they have that much autonomy over their body that they can just know exactly what they're doing. I'm hoping that for Regan, because that upper body posing thing, I looked at it and I just thought, mate, you look like you've just come off your diet. You don't look. I would if I had Milos, I wouldn't have posted that personally. Wow. I wouldn't have posted that, unless he's sort of unless I don't know, Regan's been gone off diet or whatever. I don't know. I might be completely wrong, but and I'm hoping that he'll show up in his best ever condition. But that has got me nervous. I've got to be honest.
Fair enough. Another guy, Antonio Burton, who won the New York Pro this year. He's got a great pro record. He won his pro debut. He was in the top, at the Olympia the first year. He didn't make the top 10. He's done very well, put it that way. He made a post yesterday, the day before, on Instagram, talking about, nobody's believed in him, and people are saying he's too small, too this and that. Hey, I feel bad because I said that on one of our recent shows that I didn't think he had enough size. Hey, I've reconsidered. He has as much size really as someone like a Dexter Jackson, who was Mr. Olympia and was top 5 many, many times, has the all-time pro record. It's a beautiful physique. I don't know. I don't know if that's enough size to stand next to these much bigger, heavier, thicker guys like a Nick Walker, like a Samson, like a Derek. He does have superior shape, superior symmetry and flow to his physique. He gets into great condition. I think he is somebody who could be in the top 10 for sure. And I know you've said that before. So tell me about your thoughts on Antonio Burton.
Well, originally I didn't have him in contention for like a top 10 guy. I thought he'd be like a sort of 11th to 15th or even out of the top 15. But I've been looking at a lot of kind of people's whose opinions I do respect, and I've been looking on the forums, and I've been looking on the social media, and there's a lot of people that think he could make top 10. So I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe he could, because he is kind of an up and coming guy. He is progressing fast. This is the stage of his career where he's kind of going to progress the fastest. And I'm probably fully expecting him to bring something different to what he even brought earlier on in the year. So he's one of those guys that you kind of, he might sneak past a few of the guys that we've kind of instantly thinking will be one of the like the top 10 guys. So I could potentially see him around 9th, 10th. And I think that would be a good achievement. But he's gonna have to bring some really, really good condition. But like I said, I love his back shots. When he moved up to open, I felt like though it was his back shots that really were the ones that really benefited most from him jumping up from 212 to open. So and like I said, like you said before, he's very much a Dexter Jackson mold and stuff. So, he's kind of on his way. He's on his way. He's on his way, definitely.
So Hassan Mustafa, another guy who's not getting a lot of hype or love as far as someone who is being talked about in contention for a top spot. I don't think he hasn't been top 10 in the Olympia yet, if memory serves. And he had a rough time qualifying for this Olympia. He had to do 3 shows to qualify. I believe it was 3. Yeah, he got beat by Ross Flanagan. He got beat by Ian Valliere, and then he won the 3rd show. So the fact that he was getting beat by, these other guys makes me wonder how he's going to fare at the Olympia. Tons of size. It's just with him. Structurally, this is the Olympia. You're up against guys, the most genetically gifted, hardest working guys in the world. So it's very, very tough. I think in his best condition, though, he could get top 10 here. Yeah,
he could. I've got 13th in 2020 in my head.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
So yeah, he's kind of knocking on, but he's one of those guys who's got to get that combo right with his coach. He's got to get the combo right of the waist thickness and whatever he's doing with food and carb up, because he's learned a lot about his body over the last couple of years. I mean, I love Hassan's physique. I think he's an absolute monster. But like Nick Walker, he's structurally, inferior to some of the other guys like Andrew Jacked and Samson and these other kind of more shapely, more X-frame guys. Yeah. So in his absolute top conditioning, I could see him. Yeah, I could see him basically breaking the top 10. But if he doesn't bring his best ever condition and really nails it, because those guys with that much muscle, if they're not in really, really, really hard condition, they just look like blobs. They do. Yeah. They look really like, it's almost like they've got to be dry. They've got to be separated, like he was at that show that he won. Was it Vancouver he won? No.
The one he won this year was Orlando.
No, that was Phil.
No, Phil won Orlando.
Phil Playhall won Orlando. Yeah.
Where did he win?
I'm sure it was Vancouver.
Yeah, no, Vancouver was. Yeah, was it Vancouver? Because
I interviewed him the day after in his car. No, literally, it was that. Yeah, right. The pre-judging and the night show. I interviewed him. He was in his car. Literally about turning up to the venue.
Yeah, because his wife lives in Canada, or is from Canada. I think they both live in Canada now, don't they?
Yeah, and then Valliere won Toronto, didn't he?
Yes, that's correct.
That's right. Yeah, because I get the 2 Canadian shows mixed up. Yeah, it was Vancouver.
Different ends of the country. But let's move on to a guy whose last name I'll never be able to pronounce. It's Theo. I'm just gonna call him Theo. Theo from France. You keep playing the correct pronunciation. It doesn't seem like it makes sense to me. I would still
Le guerrier.
Look at it and go, le guerrier.
Le guerrier.
How do you say it?
Theo.
Le guerrier. Le guerrier. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all right. Well, it's Theo. So Theo did a ton of shows this year. He won, got his qualification. I'll tell you, these European shows were a dogfight. It was a lot of the same guys over and over and over again, back and forth, second, third, flip-flopping places, between Budesheim and Chiriac and Theo and a few other guys. Roman. It was quite a spectacle over there in Europe this past few months. But Theo came out on top, got his qualification. He did the Olympia last year, didn't get much of a look. Do you think he's going to get a little better look this year?
I think he could crack top 15. Because I think Theo, I'm trying to think of a pro right now that is more consistent. Not more, but as consistent as Theo. Theo has never, ever, ever stepped on stage anything less than 100% condition. I mean, he is always on, never, ever off. And if conditioning is a factor, and they really, really give him a good look, there's a guy that could slip past some of the bigger names, arguably. But I think he'd love to make top 10. I'm not sure he could crack top 10, but I think 11th to 15th is more realistic. But then that's another step forward for him.
Sure. I mean, with 18 guys in the show, that means only 3 will not make the top 15.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want to see him up against Presti because I want to see who the best in Europe is.
Well, let's move on to Presti next.
Apart from Kriza.
Sorry, Presti, what did he win this year? Because he qualified. It must have been a month ago. Portugal. Yeah. So he's had time to rest up and prepare for this. I thought he looked great last year at the Olympia, but it was one of those things where there was 32 or 33 guys on stage. We had guys with strided glutes getting the last call out, and I think he was one of them. But man, I'm a big fan of his physique, that clavicle width. He's just so massive and rugged from the front. Even good back shots. Conditioning is obviously going to be pretty damn good. I don't think Mauro has ever brought him in off from what I've ever seen.
Never.
But this is the Olympia, and it's tough to get past these other guys. That's all.
9th to 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, and and thing is, I think people are starting to realize, just like Samson was at the Arnold Classic last year when he stood next to Rodriguez, I think people are going to start to realize just how big Presti is. Because he's a big dude. I mean, I'm sure he said he's like 125 kilo on stage, like 275.
Wow.
And he's rock hard, he's dense, he's granite. So I would love to see him, because I know the first Olympia he did in 2020, he didn't place. He was like last.
Right. And
then he obviously he didn't place again last year. But I think he is definitely looking to be moving up this year. He's another guy like Theo who's improving every single season. And one of the hardworking guys, like I said, like Samson as well, that's is going to bring something better and better and better and better. But I like Presti. There's a couple of people who think he could crack top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's another European that I'm rooting for.
Okay. Speaking of people that we root for, Phil Clayhar, the Jamaican tank. Phil and his wife Patty, great people, and she joins us on the chat sometimes on the videos. We appreciate that. So Phil he won a show. He qualified. I believe that was his first pro win in Orlando.
Yeah.
So he's getting here in a win. There is no point system. Mm-hmm. Masters Olympia, he did very well. 3rd place, right?
Yeah.
To Kamal and Max. So he's having a really good run this season. He would love to cap it off with a really good showing at the Olympia. I know you pull no punches. Where do you have Phil?
11th to 15th.
Okay.
That's I mean, I don't know. I think he's a big guy, so he has the size to crack top 10. Whether he can, because I know was he sick or something before the Masters Olympia or something? He was something.
Yes,
something
he had
went wrong.
Like an infection in his quad or something. It was horrible.
Wow.
They didn't post the pictures till later, but he was on all kinds of antibiotics.
Wow.
For the Masters, yeah.
Watching the Masters Olympia, when he first came out, I was like, holy shit, Phil's got this. And then it was only when I saw him next to Kamal and Max Charles. And Max Charles kind of just really tightened up as the show went on. And then obviously, Kamal just started posing and everything started popping. And then when I saw them compared, I was like, okay, I think the other two are slightly better condition. So, Phil's, the thing is, the Olympia is a big man show. So could he crack top 10? Personally, I don't think he can crack top 10, but I think he can place 11th to 15th. And I think that would be a good result.
Yeah, I mean, we're not I think that's the lowest we're going on anybody's predictions, 11th through 15th. We're not saying anybody's going to place last. So next guy who's probably, I'd say 11 to 15 would be great for him. Roman Fritz from Germany. He's done like six or seven shows this season, maybe more, at least 6. He won one of them, and he's been second, third, fourth. You know, he was part of that Euro battle that I've been talking about that's going on all these shows, because there have been a good amount of shows. Roman's conditioning, consistent. You know, we talk about Theo being someone who's never off. Roman is never off either. Good Lord. If it was a glute show, he'd win. Glutes are always like carved out of granite with striations like an inch deep. Yeah, you pointed out, you know, sometimes I don't even notice these things until someone else points them out. Back shots from the waist up, needs to be thicker from the back. He definitely looks better from the front in terms of overall mass. I still think to move up, to be someone that could potentially place top 10 in the Olympia, I would need to see a lot more size and fullness in the upper body. Legs are really, really good, but I just don't see him cracking that top 10 until he can somehow fill out the upper body a bit more.
Well, he said he wants to make top 15. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think but the judges really, really like him. I thought Tim Budesham should have beaten the other week in Italy, but wow. He beat all of them. So apart from the winner, I think he'd be one of the guys that doesn't place top 15. But I wouldn't be shocked if he makes like 14, 15, something like that. But yeah.
Okay. Another underdog going in is, you've had him on MD Global several times. Charles Griffin, the definition, coming in with the win. People are harping on his pec tear, which I think in a couple poses it is noticeable for sure. You notice it a lot in the front lat spread. You notice it in the most muscular, but not so much. Obviously side shots you can hit from your better side. Back shots are great. His legs have come up probably thanks to the pec tear earlier in the year, where he trained legs 3 times a week. Yeah. Wow. But Charles is somebody I'm anxious to see him up there, because he didn't do that poorly last year.
14th.
14th. So he was top 15 last year when there were over 30 men in the show. Yeah. Only 18 this year. So what do you got Griffin? He's
one of my dark horses for the top 10, mate.
Okay.
And I'll make a prediction. He'll be the hardest guy in the entire lineup, like he was last year.
Wow. That's quite a prediction.
Ron. Who was the hardest guy in the top 50 at Olympia last year? Tell me.
No, probably, but I'm saying Fritz will probably be in crazy condition this year. Who else?
Yeah, but he'll look like a bloody men's physique next to Charles Griffin. He will. No, Charles Griffin is a monster. He's a monster, and he's been shredded for like 6-8 weeks. I mean, those cheekbones, you can lay a match on him.
Yeah, I wish him the best. I like that density. He's got that old school, real thick, dense type of muscle. You can tell he's a very strong guy. Trains very, very hard.
And I've been helping him with his posing.
Really? I did not Skype.
Yeah, I sent him a couple of tips. I said about how to. I talked about him, and he sent me a couple of videos of how he does the most muscular, because he's fixed his front lat spread, because he doesn't flex the pec, and the pec doesn't bunch up. The pec tear. Because his front lat spread, I think, is his best shot. I think it's incredible. But he's doing it now, so he relaxes the chest and it doesn't bunch up like Hunter Labrada does. What's Hunter Labrada's best pose?
I like his front double bicep.
Okay, well, I think it's a side tricep, and
a crazy side tri. Yeah, I love that.
And he does the side of which shows the pec, but he doesn't flex it. It doesn't bunch up. So I've been so I spoke to Charles. I said, mate, rather than doing that crab over most muscular where you kind of hide the chest, I said, try it like this. And he sent me a video, and he says, "Oh, I think we've got something here, Giles. I think we've got something." I says, "There you go." So yeah,
Giles, the posing coach. Who knew? All right, just a couple more.
Poser, I was always a good poser, mate.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, we had to be, because all we had was condition and posing. Neither one of us is ever going to be the biggest dude up there with like the prettiest shape. So
even though you stole my music, Turn the Page, Metallica.
I did that first in 2002.
2004.
So, okay, I think I had you on that one
sorry. I take it back.
So next guy, we'll get a couple more guys. Ross Flanagan's big surprise at the Cal Pro. It wasn't his pro debut, but I think the other show didn't count. He wasn't at his best. But Ross really surprised us. It was a good sized lineup. It was about 20 guys. He came out on top, and he's someone I wasn't on my radar, and I don't know how well he's going to be doing at the Olympia, but good for him. He brought a great look, great condition, crazy back. just got a great overall package, and I'm starting to become a real fan of Ross.
I'm a fan purely just of his back shots. I mean, when he won the Cali, I was like, when he turned to the back, I was like, wow, like, real sort of real like that crisp separation and conditioning and hardness. And I thought, yeah, but he's another work in progress. I think I think he'll struggle to make top 50. I think he's one of the guys that doesn't. But I know definitely a guy to keep an eye on in the next couple of years. And I like his personality. He's a cool guy.
Fair enough. And last guy we'll talk about is Justin Shire, who I believe he won the Chicago Pro in his pro debut. Big fan of Justin from the front, and that's a work in progress. He needs more back. He knows this. So at the Olympia, you can't really be too glaringly deficient in any one area. You'll just get knocked way the hell down the line. So I don't see this as being a great year placing-wise for Justin, but he's doing it, which is great because you never know if you're ever going to get the chance to do the Olympia again. And, he's holding on to his diet. So I'm happy to see him there. I'm anxious to see him. I've never seen him compete.
I'll be honest, I'm going to cop out on this one. This is a guy I don't know. I didn't really study enough the pictures and the videos of when he won his show. I was just really happy that he won his pro debut. I honestly, this is the one I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, we have an hour time limit on these recordings on StreamYard. So
do we?
Yeah, we do apparently. So we're almost at 56 minutes. So I want to encourage all you guys to check out the new episode of Global Muscle, which aired before this, even though we're recording it before that comes out. But Milos Sarshev and Laszlo Kurali. Laszlo, great young classic physique pro out of Hungary. Awesome. And Milos is pure gold. I could listen to Milos talk all day long. Yeah, and, he loves going back and forth with Giles. They have a long-standing rapport because they both have deep passion for the sport and a really good eye for physique. So, and they don't always...
we try and catch each other out all the time. It's quite funny because it really keeps you sharp on your toes, because he'll throw things back at you, and you have to be on your guard. Otherwise, you can make you look like a complete fool. So I was really really for an hour and a quarter, I was absolutely frazzled afterwards, but it was good fun.
He's one of the only guys that you'll be interviewing him, and he'll start asking you questions. He'll be like, "Let me ask you this." I'm like, "Oh no, yeah. I'm supposed to be asking you questions."
Put you on the spot. Because we're talking about because he's obviously now he's Samson and Regan as two guys. He's trying to push the narrative of conditioning not being the most important factor, but Giles is the big conditioning guy. He loves conditioning,
right? So
we're kind of going through that. And then it's funny because then he said about Keon. He said, "Well, if Keon can bring really good conditioning, he could win it." I was like, "Hang on a minute."
Yeah.
So it was funny. It was good. It was really good though.
Yeah. So I did a 212 in Classic Olympia preview with Jose Raymond. Guys, check that out. It's going to be up before this, so check that out. We had a really good discussion. I'll be at the show with Jose, using his clout to help me get better interviews, because nobody's going to say no to Jose. He's adorable. He's a legend. Everyone loves Jose. And Giles will be there popping in to the coverage at times. We'll probably go live with you a few times. We have the technology. We can do it now. We got this great new software. So that's happening. We're recording this well ahead of the Olympia, but guys, join us all Olympia weekend. Our coverage is going to start Thursday night at the meet and greet or the Meet the Olympians. It's going to go all weekend long. So, final word,
John? Just quickly to touch on the Classic and the 212. Is anyone beating Clarida or Bumstead?
No.
Drop the mic.
No. It's not even.
Drop the mic.
No, drop the mic. Yeah, they're very dominant right now. If anyone has a chance at beating Clarida, it's Keon if he shows up diced out of his skull like we've never seen before. I've never seen that really extreme condition from Keon. If he brings that, it could be a fight. But Clarida dominant right now, and Bumstead.
Yeah, I think Keon still needs another year. I think he'll jump up to third this year, third, fourth. Because you've got Ole Krivy, you've got Angel Calderon, you've got all these other guys, you've got Kereth, you've got all these other good guys. And the thing is, there's a lot of other good 212s that, probably would love a shot to have a shot at even a comparison with someone like Clarida. But Clarida, I mean, Milos said actually on Global, he said he thinks that Clarida has the best conditioning of any pro or any Olympia winner or something, or any Olympia competitor in the last so many years. Go watch it. You'll get his exact wording. But he's like, yeah, he says in terms, he kind of really thought about it and he went, I can't think of anyone that's brought better conditioning than Clarida. And things with Clarida, he's one of those guys you have to see in the flesh, because when you see the videos and photos, when I've been there watching him, and then I've looked down at the photo of him, I'm like, oh, it's not as devastatingly shocking as what you see physically in front of you. He's one of those guys. He's amazing.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Bumstead too. Bumstead too as well. He's phenomenal. I think he'll win 5 and then retire.
Fair enough. So, guys, leave your top 10 below. Top 5, top 6, top 10, whatever you want. You can guys argue with each other. We'll comment and argue back with you. We'll have a good time. Join us at the Olympia. Like the video, share the video, do all that. Your notifications, turn them on. We appreciate you watching MD Power Hour, and we'll see you next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.